that's really the hope, but it's easier said than done, Puneet Sahani, isn't it? Because we do have to depend on the administrations of those particular countries to actually take that action. Now, as far as Canada goes, and like we've been discussing, that there seems to be some political compulsions, which is why there has been no action that has been taken. And then we see these separatist groups, these separatist elements run completely amok. Where does that leave India then? And what do we do next, Puneet Sahani?
No, Poonam, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I would like to go to specifics. So, Mr. Jaishankar, he has said vote bank politics. It's not vote bank politics. It's terrorism. So first say it with the name. Like if you take out this tableau of Mrs. Gandhi and, of this assassin, this is terrorism. And, like how they bully everyone. And, what he's saying, we have expressed. Terry can tell you, the Canadian ambassador of that time, he wrote his autobiography, that Mrs. Gandhi would dress him down and personally say, what is Canada doing? And Canada did nothing. So I want Mr. Jaishankar not to, say big words and wave a twig. I want him to have speak softly but use a big stick. So what has the Indian government done? This Mr. Spokesperson of Mr. BJP was saying, we have removed the blacklist. You should put the blacklist. You are removing the deterrent. Have you proscribed the WSO, which is doing this? You haven't done it. We have the High Commissioner level diplomatic relations with Canada. You can degrade it to the charge d'affaires level. This Captain Amrinder Singh was saying we should take Canada to the UN sanction. So again, if you think you are by saying big words or condemnation or by convincing that you can convince Canada, they are not doing it. I want to give you an example, Poonam. It's very important. So, they were talking of this biggest terrorist attack. You see, when this terrorist attack happened, the Canadian politicians are talking like it has happening like lightning or flood, that we condemned it and it is very sad. But they have not said who has done it. And this is actually very important because what Terry was saying, they are spreading this misinformation that Indian government has done it. Whereas the inquiry commission found it completely that Mr. Talvinder Singh Parmar, terrorist of Babbar Khalsa, he was the architect and the mastermind of this terrorist attack. And nobody has said it. And even this Mrs. Gandhi tableau, I was the one who raised this noise about it. And then it became news. So you see, they have the national politician who has condemned it. His name is Paul Pieve, who is like the right of the center, kind of like BJP party in Canada. That person did not have the guts to do it on Twitter. He went on his personal website and there he wrote a statement of condemnation. So, in future, if somebody asked him, if somebody asked him, he said, yeah, I had done it. So I had to dig out that statement and put it on Twitter. So it's not like, there is not a vote bank because the Sikhs are against it. But it's a Muslim brotherhood like this WSO, which has infiltrated and which is a pressure group. And all these politicians are basically, working in their hands. And this was exactly what happened in 1980s when they bombed the airplane. And this will happen again if they don't do it. And India should not just say big words, but actually use a stick. And you have a lot of things to do and they're not doing it. I don't want any statements or something, sorry, go ahead.
Can I point out that there is a good example of that? Somebody mentioned Captain Amarinder Singh, who during his term of office in, I believe, April of 2017, refused to receive the Canadian Defense Minister, no less, Harjit Sajjan, on the grounds that he believed that Sajjan was a Khalistani sympathizer. And what happened in response to waving that big stick? Canada caved. Minister Sajjan was forced to put out a statement saying, no, he absolutely did not support an independent Khalistan, and then Captain Amarinder graciously acknowledged his victory. And when Trudeau came in 2018 on his ill-fated journey, Captain Amarinder did in fact receive Sajjan. There's an example, but if there's any example that should light a fire under both sides of this, it is the obscene spectacle that we just saw 2 days on Sunday. We saw a rally. Puneet mentioned this, a rally, but as bad as he made it sound, it's actually worse. The rally was of Khalistanis waving Khalistan Zindabad flags, going to have their rally at the Air India Memorial. They befouled the Air India Memorial, lined up by the names of the 331 dead, and celebrated their big day of Khalistan. I mean, it was obscene. They basically danced on the graves of the victims.
Puneet.
You see, Poonam, I just want to point, it's not the numbers. You see the influence that they take out Mrs. Gandhi's tableau. And, no national politician condemns it. Or MPs, what they have done. And it's such I don't know what kind of example they are setting for the Sikhs. I felt so ashamed that they want to show this world that, we are some, what kind of animals we are. We are shooting an unarmed woman, an old woman, and take pleasure and, like saying it. Anyways, you see on the other side, this Gurdwara president, a thug and a plumber and a terrorist. And, he almost certainly died for, internal gang warfare. He died, and all these Khalistanis put pressure, and all the Canadian MPs are tweeting for him. They don't tweet when a democratically elected woman prime minister is, perforated with bullets. And, this rally is taken out for, hours and kilometers. I forgot, it was 6.5 hours or something like that. No major politicians said, we condemn this. And you see publicly on Twitter. But when this thug is killed, and, he's a criminal, and, there is a record, he lied to the immigration officers again and again, he made a fake claim, and he's a plumber. And this, he was an enemy of Malik. And that is but the MPs are dying, and they are saying, yeah, India must have done it.
We also have activist Puneet Sahani now joining us on the broadcast. Puneet, good to have you with us here on CNN News 18, and thank you for patiently waiting. How do you see, the response that is coming from the External Affairs Minister? He's minced no words. He said that, yes, relations between both the countries have been impacted, and that has been impacted because of a restrained or guarded response that we've seen from Canada.
Right. Jai Ma Bharti Ruchika, thank you for inviting me. So, sorry, there is an echo coming, but I'll come to your point.
We'll just try and fix that.
I appreciate Dr. Jayashankar's statement. And, the thing is, but I would have liked him to be a bit more specific. To give you an example. So, for example, the greatest atrocity, terrorist atrocity in Canada was this, plane bombing, which happened just a few days ago. There was the anniversary of it, right? The anniversary was a few days ago. All these politicians, they have given a statement that this was a national calamity, a natural calamity, that this has happened and this should not happen. But who has done it? Nobody even had the courage to say that the Khalistani terrorists have done it. So these Khalistanis are not just vote bank. I think they're more a pressure group than a vote bank. But this is what has happened. So, when they took out this parade of Mrs. Gandhi, being shot by her Sikh bodyguards.
In Brampton,
you see, right. So again, and we raised a noise, and, it became a news. But the only, the politician, his name is Pierre Poilievre, the national politician who condemned it. He didn't condemn it on Twitter. He went secretly and went on his website and wrote it. So he has done his job, but he didn't want to get, this Khalistani blowback. Then I had to take a screenshot of his website and put it on the Twitter that he has done it. So this is what they are playing with the lives of Canadian citizens.
You've been tracking these developments very, very closely over a long period of time. As you rightly pointed out, we've seen a sudden increase as far as these episodes are concerned. What we saw in Brampton, where the tableau of the assassination of Indira Gandhi was carried out, various consulates have come under attack, temple attacks have also increased. Are we suddenly seeing an increase as far as these episodes are concerned?
No, Ruchika, I give you a very cogent example, and you will understand what is happening. And I even sent the screenshot to your producer, if, you can put it. So just few days ago, there was a Hindu kid, young kid, he's a bartender, he's not political. And I found through a friend of a friend of a friend that he's completely, he just said that Khalistanis had blocked the road. And he said, if they want to make Khalistan, they should go to India, or are they want to make Khalistan here? He has said nothing. And this some Khalistani loon, she took out, this is his name, he works here, let's destroy him. And that guy is completely traumatized, and nobody came to his defense except, I made some noise on Twitter. But that guy, they put his picture, they put his name, they put his job. And trust me, they would have destroyed even the business, but the business was owned by a Sikh. So they were like, let's get this guy fired, but please don't write bad reviews. So this is what they do to an average, Indian or something. And this is the bullying they do. And I think it is a big shame. I think the Indian consulate should have come out. Like, this is the harassment that is happening. But no politician, whether from India or from Canada, spoke in his defense. So this is how they terrorize everybody into submission.
When the External Affairs Minister says that relations have been impacted between both the countries, we feel the guarded response by Canada is because of vote bank politics. How do you see that comment? Do you think there is a compulsion as far as vote bank politics is concerned, and that is why we're not seeing the Canadian authorities be more stringent?
No, Ridhima, like he has said, impacted. I want to see the outcome. So like in international, everybody knows, you don't even name the terrorists who have done it. So what are you doing? We share high commissioner level relations with Canada, which is the highest. I think we should degrade it to charge the affairs level. I actually want to see action. not statement
Okay.
that they have been impacted. I want the diplomatic relations to be degraded by this country,
Sure.
which is doing, what Pakistan was doing with America. They
Sure.
have become basically, you do terror incidents from here, and you use
Yeah.
this state and the state to inflict terror on India. And this is what Captain Amrinder Singh has said. I don't know how many
Sure.
years ago, that
Yeah.
Canada should be put charged for terrorism, abetting terrorism.